to introduce you to Penny Milton.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having us. I'm going to start sharing a presentation here. Okay, so if you can't see it or anything, let me know, but we're going to be talking about your water here for the next 45 minutes or so, but we'll have some pause points throughout, and I'd encourage you on whatever platform you're on to just go ahead and put questions into the chat, and we'll be able to answer those throughout the presentation. So thanks again for being here. I have a team of several of us here, which is the wonder of Zoom, that we can all be in one spot very easily. So I'm with Matt Weatherly, who's in our water quality information group, Jeff Sandberg, who focuses on commercial water efficiency, Fabiola Casas from the financial assistance program, and we're going to be chatting with you. If you would like to, you can turn on your video and just say hi for a second. No pressure to do that at all. But if you want, go ahead and do that. And if you're on Facebook, that's great. You can just like give a little virtual wave. This is a different space than being all together in a room enjoying food and conversation, but we hope you'll still find it really interesting. Before we kind of dive into the rest of our content, I just wanted to acknowledge the really amazing role that PACCO's had in the creation of our SPUR program over the last year. So there was a recognition that small businesses were really struggling, and over the summer, there was a group of community chambers that came together to help us design and implement the small business utility program for utility relief, or SPUR. And basically what that did was give $1.6 million in utility bill credits to just over 530 businesses. And those were one-time credits that went on the bill, but we hope they were able to support you wherever you are. And a huge thanks to Jan Mason, who's a part of this group and just had a big leadership role in that whole process. So shout out to her there. So we'd love to know, either you can put it in the chat or I guess, yeah, put it in the chat. Do you live or own a business in the city of Portland? So either one of those, if those are true, let us know in the city of Portland. Or if you're outside, you can tell us where you are, and that would be helpful. And then if one of the moderators could read any of those out, if you get them, that would be great. Give you just like a few more seconds here.
I see Gresham.
Okay.
Aloha, North Portland. Oh, Jason's here.
Yeah, okay, so we've got kind of a mix of the areas surrounding the city of Portland and some within the city of Portland. Okay, that's helpful. And so we'll mostly be talking about Portland today, but a lot of the programs that some of the programs that we are talking about, other utilities around us also have, and we have really strong partnerships with those utilities. We all work together on things, so we can hopefully speak to some questions that you might have, even if you're outside of the city. Okay, what I hope that you'll come away with today are sort of 4 things. The first one is a better understanding of how your water gets to you and how we keep it safe along the way. We hope you'll get tips about water quality at home and at the office, how to troubleshoot if you've had high bills or leaks. And then if you know someone who's lost income recently, we want you to come away with some programs that we have that can help. And I'd love for you to just take a second, and if you have any other things that you want to get out of this, go ahead and put those into the chat. Like if you have specific questions or something that brought you here today, that would be really helpful for us so we can address it throughout the way. And I'll keep going, but moderators, go ahead and call those out if you see them come in. All right, one more poll before we get started. And this one is, do you prefer tap water or bottled water as far as what you drink? There's no judgment either way. We'd just love to hear what your preference is. We'll give you like 10 more seconds to vote.
Tap water, but filtered, tap water, bottled. It's a mix.
Okay, Great. So we got both. We'll talk about, so we're going to be talking about our tap water. It's really delicious, and how it stays safe. And so you can drink it right out of the tap. In Portland, we have two sources of drinking water. We have the Bull Run Watershed, which many of you have heard of. That's outside of the town of Sandy, up by Mount Hood. And it is basically a big area of land where we collect rainwater. We have 2 dams up there that can hold back 17 billion gallons of water that we store for those dry summer months so we can keep water flowing throughout the year. And then the second picture that you see that actually shows Mount Hood and a tiny little like bunker hill thing is part of our groundwater system. And if you've ever been driving out along Marine Drive or I-84, you may have seen some of these little bunkers, and basically it is a wellhead. So underneath there are 26 of these drinking water wells throughout, sort of from the airport out until Troutdale. And that's our second source of drinking water. So we're super lucky, and we had some great planning to be able to have 2 sources of water. So we end up using both sources many summers now to be able to supplement that Bull Run primary source. Bull Run is a super great place to have a water collection area because it gets a lot of rain. So the city will typically get like maybe around 35 to 40 inches throughout the year. It feels like a lot more, but in the Bull Run Watershed, we're seeing more like 135 up to 160 and even more sometimes inches of rain per year. So that's where we're collecting our water that becomes our drinking water. I'm going to show you kind of a stylized map here. And this is basically the watershed and our whole distribution system. I'm going to highlight a little bit with my mouse a little bit up here. So what I'm highlighting right now, that's our primary source. It's a big forested area of land that has, like I said, 2 dams, and they basically dam a river. And then that river becomes these big reservoirs. And then we treat the water, put it into pipes, and it comes into town and mixes, if we're using groundwater, with groundwater at big reservoirs that are under Powell Butte in the city of Portland. There's a park up there. And those can each hold, I believe it's 50 million gallons, and Matt can fact check me on that. From Powell Butte, it heads out into the distribution system so that we can get water all the way, up into the West Hills and throughout the whole city. One fun fact about the drinking water system is that it is gravity fed for about 85% of the way, which means that we don't even have to pump it until about Washington Park. And then we need pumps to get it up into the west side. So that was some good forethought back in the late 1800s. And I've been talking about a watershed. I know that's sort of an abstract idea, so just wanted to throw this up here. And a watershed is this area of land where all of the rain that falls on that area of land is draining to a common river or lake source of water, basically. So, and I'll go to the next one. So you can see in this outline, this is our area of land that basically all of the water and snow, all of the rain and snow that falls here is going to drain into the river that then we drink. And we don't drink all of it. We only drink about 20% of it, and the rest goes downstream for fish and everything else. And in this aerial as well, you can see our well fields. So that's the groundwater source I was talking about along the Columbia River there. One last picture of the watershed. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. If this was normal days, we would love to invite you all out there. We do these day-long tours where you can go and see it and hike around and go into the dam. We can't do that right now, but we'll hope to get back to that soon. So from the Water Bureau team, is there anything that I missed on kind of our big picture system overview before I hand it over to Matt? Hi, Matt, I'm handing it off to you.
All right, thanks, Penny. Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct on your volume of water for Powell Butte. So yeah, appreciate the introduction. So I've been working with the Portland Water Bureau for over 13 years. The last 4 years I've really been focused on promoting lead and water testing and prevention, along with co-managing our water quality phone line and email, which really means I get to work directly with local business owners, residents like yourselves, to really try to troubleshoot water quality and pressure issues. And overall, generally as your water provider for Portland and then some other wholesale that we deliver bulk water for, we see public health and the delivery of safe drinking water as our main priorities. But if you have a clinic, a restaurant, manage a building, or just use water at your workplace or home, we do see managing water quality as a shared responsibility, which I'll go through a little bit throughout this presentation, as well as going over some tips about how to make sure your water is safe. So this next slide, we all know that you have your favorite ways to enjoy your water every day, but you may not know what we do to make it safe. So besides watershed protection, which Penny went over, and as well as monitoring up in our watershed, we do a small amount of treatment. So we add a small amount of chlorine and then an even smaller amount of ammonia to extend the longevity of that disinfection. It makes a chloramine, and that makes it able to last longer throughout our distribution system. Then third, we add sodium hydroxide, which basically adjusts the pH of the water, and this helps protect indoor plumbing. Common question that we always get, do we fluoridate our water? And we do not. There's a small just background level that's just naturally occurring, but we do not add fluoride. For future treatment and filtration and just about a little over a year, we will have improved corrosion control that's coming up. We'll be adjusting the pH and the alkalinity of our water. And then in 2027, we'll be installing a new filtration system. And both of those things, more information can be found on our website. So after treatment, we can't really just walk away and say, well, job's done or finished, because we have over 2,200 miles of distribution system within our system. So we have strategically located monitoring stations and then certified samplers who collect water samples every day of the week to really just check the vitals and make sure that, gauge the effectiveness of our treatment, make sure that we're doing everything to provide safe drinking water and make adjustments as necessary. So the field staff bring in about 11,000 samples a year to our water quality lab. And then that lab, our lab, internally processes and conducts about 50,000 analyses on those collections of water. Those regulatory samples are validated, reported to the Oregon Health Authority on a monthly basis. And then as you can tell with some of these images, even before COVID, our lab techs were protecting against any kind of bacterial cross-contamination even before COVID. But now with COVID, even myself, when I go into the lab to drop off samples, we take extra precautions to make sure that all of our customers are able to continue to receive safe drinking water. So system maintenance and pressure is also very, very important to our system. Without proper maintenance, which means, our workers getting in the trenches and doing work despite rain, shine, or snow, as well as getting into, above ground tanks and doing cleaning and different disinfection and maintaining the condition of our system. We have to make sure that we're maintaining the pressure. So if there's a break, there's less opportunity for cross-contamination or something to get in our system because that pressure is pushing things out. With this pressure also makes sure that we have adequate fire response. So as I mentioned just at the beginning, while we do the bulk of the work to deliver safe drinking water for you, we see water safety as a shared responsibility. So what does that mean? Just kind of transitioning, especially with the impacts of lead. We see it's especially important when it comes to lead in drinking water. With the next slide, epidemiologist Dr. Eric Fagel really explains it very succinctly. So when it comes to medical issues like blood pressure, heart disease, cholesterol, there's lifestyle and diet change, or even medication. But when it comes to lead poisoning, especially for young children, unfortunately, the damage is permanent. So how do you know if your water is safe? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we treat our water by adjusting the pH, making sure that the water is just less impactful on indoor plumbing. That's our job as a utility. We're also one of the first utilities to voluntarily offer lead and water testing to our Portland customers, and we mail out thousands of kits annually. And if you have higher results, we'll contact you and talk to you about ways that you can reduce that. So where does the lead actually come from? So we do not serve lead, we serve water with elevated levels of lead. We test our distribution, the water in our distribution system, and it doesn't have high levels of lead. But once it enters a home, depending on a number of factors for a business or a home, especially like the age of the home, which I'll talk about in just a moment, could be impacting, the water quality in your home, especially related to lead. So as a property manager or homeowner, you're responsible for maintaining your service line, which runs from past the meter, and as well as maintaining the indoor plumbing. So with the next slide, many people think that, it's really older homes, turn of the century or older, and that gets confused. It tends to be more galvanized plumbing, which is just iron plumbing. In those cases, typically that you're not going to have higher levels of lead. And luckily, basically just homes in Portland, we don't have lead service lines like in the east parts of the United States. It's less common here. It's more related to homes that were built between 1970 and 1985 that used lead solder. That's of higher risk. And then as well, legislation tends to be behind science. So fixtures older than 2014 could have higher levels of lead. So you may or not know what the age of your home is. You may not know if it was replumbed during that time. So that's why we recommend that you test. So we have a number of recommendations to provide. So we can provide you a lead test kit, which you can easily request. And then these two suggestions are something if you do have high results or if you haven't tested yet, you can easily do just to reduce your exposure to lead in drinking water, which is one, running your water for 30 seconds to a couple minutes, especially after it's been sitting overnight or you've been away. That is probably the most effective way to reduce the levels of lead. You're just able to then flush out anything that's corroded into the actual water itself. And then using only cold water and not hot water, because hot water can increase corrosion. And then in some cases, people use filters, and we can always talk to you more about that. And then just to add, if people have other color or specific questions about their water quality, I can always chat with them either at the end of this or offline as well too. So ordering a kit, we recommend going through Multnomah County. We partner with them. They manage the lead line. That's the easiest way you can do it. You can either order it online or give them a call. And we then receive a list, send those kits out manually each week. But they're available to all of our Portland customers. But also I notice there are some folks that are on today that are from Aloha. It depends on your address, but you might be eligible to receive that. There's different parts that receive water from Tualatin Valley. There's parts of Beaverton, Gresham, and some other small utilities. So it isn't just limited to Portland that you can receive that kit, but there's a way, once you sign up, you can look at your address and see whether you qualify. The main things to remember with the kit, so that we're protecting your health and giving you the most accurate information, is to not use water, and there's instructions, so you don't have to remember all this, but just not use water both indoors and outdoors for at least 6 hours before you collect your sample, and only collect it from one location, not multiple faucets. We really just kind of want to start with just one set of data and not confuse it with different locations in your home. And if there's a need for translations, we may be able to help with that. So we have a number of, there's some information that we've translated into multiple languages, so you can always just request that as well too. I would like to go over just purchasing products as well too. So just to be aware, if you're thinking about replacing some sections of your plumbing or different fixtures, there's lead-free, which really means 0.25% lead in the brass hardware. There's also regulatory language that says low lead, that's 8%. So that's things prior to 2014. But then there is no regulatory meaning if there's something that says no lead. Same thing as like natural flavoring in food products. So if you see something that says that, be a little, question that a little bit. I wouldn't recommend purchasing something like that. Look for lead free. And that's if you go to any kind of hardware shop, that's what you'll end up seeing. But also noting that bathtubs and outdoor spigots are exempt from being lead free because they're not considered a potable drinking water source. Close to the end of my section, child cares, we offer free lead testing. So if you have a business running a child care, we do offer that free for Portland residents. If you're outside, I believe the process is the state will work to reimburse working with a lab to get your water tested. It is required if you are also a child care. If you're concerned about your own child's exposure, we recommend requesting a blood level test and working with your doctor. And then Multnomah County, they're still supporting family investigations right now. So in cases where there are children with high blood lead levels, they're offering COVID safe investigations. And then with this last slide, it's basically just my contact information. So it's myself and KT who are available to talk about other water quality issues. But I would mention too, if you own a building and it's been vacant, or there's just been a lot less vacancy during COVID and you haven't received any information from us about how to manage it, please do contact us, because there's a lot that we can share, or contact Lorelei or Ellen, either way, and we can share some more information and just give you some more advice on how to manage your building. So at that, I'll pass it along to Penny.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I know that was a lot of information. I just want to take a mini pause. Are there any questions or clarifying anything that we can help with at this moment before we keep going? Okay, you're doing great. We're going to talk about the bill, which can be maybe the part that you're most interested in. Sometimes it's the part I'm most interested in. But before that, go ahead and put into the chat your guesses about how much water on average we use per person per day. So do we use like 1,000 gallons per day, 2 gallons per day? Where is Portland on average? And there is no real wrong answer, even though I'll tell you the right answer on the next slide. So don't feel bad if you can't guess it. I would never guess it. Okay, well, you can see if you're right. We're going to go on to the next one. It is 46. This year it's 46. It went down by 2 gallons per person per day on average in Portland. Which still seems like a lot, right? 46 gallons, but you think about toilet flushes, those can be up to 5 to 7 if you have a really old toilet. There's just all that use, but that's what we're going to talk about next, is how to reduce your use and what is normal for folks. So on average, you can see in the diagram that typically people are using about 15 CCFs per quarter, or 5 CCFs per month. And what is a CCF? That doesn't make any sense. It's this unit that utilities often use to measure water. It's a unit of volume that's equal to 100 cubic feet or 748 gallons, which again, you don't have to remember, but we're going to be able to help you do the calculations later on. If you want to know how many gallons per day you're actually using in your home, you can always call and get help with that. But as far as like what's normal for you, it depends on, how many showers do people take every day? How long are those showers, but also what kind of shower head are you using? So it's both the behavior and the technology side. But on average, again, I'll show you what we use as a country. So most of our water actually goes to toilets, about 24%. This is based on a national study, closely followed by showers. And if you combine baths in there, and then we go, down from there into faucets and clothes washers, etc. So that's kind of a helpful breakdown if you're thinking about, well, where do I start if I want to reduce my bill or my water use? And we're going to start with toilets. So especially older toilets, it really matters. If they're pre-1992, they're going to use about 3.5 gallons or more gallons per flush. And now our toilets are, the WaterSense version, which is like the water efficient version, is 1.28 or less. So that's a huge difference. You're cutting your water use in half just by swapping out a toilet that could be older and you want to replace anyway. If you do that, we have rebates available, as do many of our other, partners, utilities around the region. So I know Tualatin Valley does and Gresham does, as far as folks out in Aloha and Gresham. And just so you can see the breakdown of how much it costs. So it really does save you, even in just like paying your water and sewer costs. It's about a quarter. So if you get a water efficient toilet, it's about a quarter of what you would spend if you had an older toilet from between the 50s and the 80s, which is an old toilet, but they still exist out in homes. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one, but I just want to put out there that if you live in a single family home, or if your business is connected to a meter that's just yours, you can actually do a test where you can go out and look at your water meter to tell if you have a leak or not. And we'll go to the next slide to show you how. So what you're really paying attention to, first, you want to make sure nobody's using water inside the building, inside your home. And you're going to go back out and you're looking for this leak detection dial. And it could be a snowflake or a blue triangle on some, but in this one, it's a red triangle. And that is going to be spinning if small amounts of water are going through your meter. So the other things on this dial are also going to move eventually. The sweep hand, this one is going to move, but it moves slower than the dial. So the leak detection dial is really what's going to tell you about those smaller amounts of water. So this would be like a fun experiment over the weekend. Go home or go, to wherever you can to access a water meter that is yours. And you're going to go out and see if you can find it. So typically it's out by the sidewalk close to your home. If you just sort of go straight out from your home and start looking around the sidewalk area, they'll have like a metal plate on top, has a water sign or it says meter, and you're actually going to take that off and then look at the meter itself. There's a faceplate that you'll open inside, and you're welcome to do that. It's okay to do that. Just make sure you put everything back at the end. So yeah, feel free to ask questions on that at the end if you have them. I am a little tight on time, so I think what I'm going to highlight here is that this is a City of Portland bill. So if you're elsewhere, this is going to make less sense. But for City of Portland, you can see that there is a discount on this bill, and that is a Clean River Rewards discount. Fabiola is going to be talking about another discount that is based on income. But this discount is available to anyone. It's not based on income, and it's about how you manage the water that runs off of your roof. And if you're thinking about it from your business, how you manage the water that runs off of like pavement and other hard skate surfaces, so things where water can't soak in. I'm going to pause on this, and I'm actually just going to hand it over to Fabiola to talk about some more ways that we can support you and that bill discount program. Then I'll come back.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Penny. And thank you for having me. My name is Fabiola, as Penny said at the beginning, and I work with our financial assistance program. There was a big expansion of our services in 2018, which is really exciting. If you're in the city of Portland, hopefully you've heard of these changes. And if you're outside of the city of Portland, contacting your utility provider to see what they have available will be really important. We definitely want folks to feel empowered to ask questions about their bill, and when things get really overwhelming, to be able to access the programs that we have to make it feel more manageable. So those first three that are listed on here are income-based, as Penny said we won't go to the next slide yet, but the next slide will show what the income guidelines are to be able to qualify for these. The first one is and actually to qualify for the crisis assistance, you have to qualify for the bill discount. So the way that it works is you look at your household, and that a household, we consider anyone who is physically living at the property with you. So that's family members, tenants, relatives, and so you look at everybody in the house and you look at the combined income. Then there's the table guide where you'll see if you qualify for the bill discount program. If you do, then you apply, and then on your future bills, you'll start seeing a discount on your bill, and that will be continuous for as long as your household continues to qualify for the program for 2 years. And during that time span, so for those 2 years, if there is any if there's a situation where there is, things are just really tight and it's hard to cover a bill, even with the discount, or if there's a balance that you have when you first qualify for the bill discount, then you're eligible to receive crisis assistance funds. We ask for a small copayment, or a copayment of whatever you can afford on your balance, and then we can cover the balance up to, so it wouldn't exceed $500, but whatever your balance is at, then we would see what you would qualify for at that time that you request the crisis assistance. The leak and fixture repair program, you qualify for if you are eligible and enrolled in the bill discount, and Penny will talk more about that in a little bit. For the non-income based assistance, I'm sorry, one more thing that I'll mention about the bill discount for those income-based programs is that the person who is the account holder does need to be living at the property, and it needs to be and only at this time, only single family residents can qualify for the program, or there are a few multifamily properties that are individually metered. So if you are living in a building where you have a meter and you are the account holder for that for your unit, then you can also inquire to see if you qualify for the program. So the non-income based assistance, these are options that are available for anybody who is managing an account with us. So the payment arrangements, the biggest thing with that one is that we really want to work with folks to make sure that when currently, because of COVID, we're not applying late fees, and nobody has been in danger of a shut off for non-payment. And so there's been a lot more flexibility during this time. We understand we've been trying to be responsive to the financial challenges that folks are experiencing. Outside of COVID, we try to work with folks to make sure that if you need more time to pay your bill, that we're setting up an arrangement that works for you. So that's what the payment arrangements are. You can set those up online, or you can call and talk to someone to get one set up. The Clean River Rewards program, I think Penny will speak to a little bit more. The monthly statements. So everybody who has their account, their meter is read every 3 months. That can be, sometimes that can feel like a big bill for 3 months of water use. And so what you can request is to have those quarterly charges be split up into monthly payments. So you would have your quarterly charges as calculated, and then that amount would be split up into 3 payments for the next 3 months. And the benefit to that is, again, if that works better for your household budget, we want to make sure that you're getting those reminders on a monthly basis to pay those balances. Those broken down balances. The challenge with the monthly statements is if it's difficult to keep up with the bill just generally, then having a monthly bill might not be what's going to make managing the charges easier for you. So I would really look at how your household budget works, and to see if having a little bit more flexibility with the quarterly bill is better, or if having it split up into the monthly bills is better for you. We have different ways to make sure that you can pay your bill. So there's the online bill pay that you can go online and set up your account to do that. And actually, I'll just clarify that you don't have to have an account to pay your bill online, but there is a way to manage your bill online as well. The leak adjustment is if you do identify a leak and you're able to fix it, then we would consider a reimbursement for a portion of the water that was charged that was due to a leak. For the safety net program, I added a note there that to mention that it is temporarily suspended because we are because of our response to COVID. Essentially, no one is getting the late fees or is in danger of the shutoff. And what the safety net program does outside of COVID is that it gives you some flexibility over the course of a year due to a significant event that may have happened where you just need some added flexibility to your payments. And those situations are considered case by case. So that you won't see information about the safety net program on our website at this moment, but it will be something that will become available once we are starting to recover from the impact of COVID. And last, I'll leave the last one, the conservation devices, and to Penny to explain in just a little bit as well. This is the table for the income-based programs. So like I said, the family size, that is anyone who is living at the property using the water, and the maximum monthly income is gross. So that's any amount, any pay or benefits that are received before any kind of deductions. And all of that information is online. And if you have any questions, please reach out to customer service and ask for Fabiola or ask for, for someone from the financial assistance program. And we're more than happy to talk to you about your particular situation at home.
Great. Okay, we talked a little bit about Clean River Rewards, so I'm going to skip this, but just say, if you think you have your downspouts disconnected, or if you're at your business, you have like bio swales that absorb water, anything that's helping to like keep the water on your property, just know that you can get a discount for that, and call us and we'll tell you more. Fabiola mentioned that we have a free water leak repair program, so we can totally replace your toilets, your shower heads, an entire service line for free if you qualify for that bill discount program. So that can be a huge benefit to folks. You do need to be the homeowner, but it is completely free. We give out free conservation devices. So if you own a restaurant, you might be interested in one of these pre-rinse spray valves. Maybe Jeff will tell you more if that was not right, which is this one. But we've got like shower heads and faucet aerators. These are dye tablets that go in your toilet to check for toilet leaks. And then if you water outside, you might want one of these, a hose nozzle. So those are all free. Feel free to order them online. We also give out a lot of rebates. These are available to both commercial and multifamily and residential customers at varying levels. So we do like toilets, irrigation related rebates, and then the commercial side, or if you're a restaurant owner, we have ice machine rebates if you replace a water cooled ice machine with an air cooled ice machine. And then Jeff could probably tell you more about that, and I'm going to hand it over to him. So he's really focused on supporting our business customers.
Well, good evening. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great, thank you. So Portland Water Bureau is just a little bit unique in that we have a commercial support program that is very hands-on. Before COVID, we would go into a facility or a property and really investigate what kind of water fixtures there were, what kind of equipment. So it might be simply just a shoe store or a laundromat, or it might be a brewery, it might be, you know, all kinds of businesses that we would work with, as well as large multifamily. And so we would just go in and dig around and figure out where a company, a business can save water by replacing equipment or improving the process. We also investigate high water use. We have a business and water use has been high and we can't explain why. Maybe the plumber can't figure it out, or leak detection company can't figure out, it's just really high. We'll come in after those folks and help try to determine what the problem is. And so we have a lot of experience doing this, and we also do, you know, large multifamily. So I guess the point I want to make is just any business is welcome to call us and talk to us about reducing their water use, whether they're just trying to green the business or reduce costs, or you've got that unexplained high use. Currently, we're not doing that because of COVID, of course. We're hoping to get back into that in the near future. Currently, we've been involved with Zoom and meetings with different companies, conservation committees, or different business owners. And of course, we're always available by phone or email. What we are continuing to do is we do continue to do water consumption analysis. So if you've got a business, been a long time, and you want to reduce water use, we'll take a look at your historical water use. If it's a high use issue, we'll try and figure out what's going on. Depending on the business, we'll compare you to other similar businesses to see how you're doing in comparison. and we'll look at your billing history. And some cases, people are anxious to reduce their water use, but in reality, what it is most of the bill is stormwater fees, and so we have the program that Penny mentioned earlier about possibly reducing stormwater fees. So we'll dig into that for you, and we can always provide water use history for you for about 5 years. We put that in Excel format, and happy to ship that off to you via email. We have some other tools and devices such as data logging or flow recording. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. And of course, the rebates incentives you've heard about already from Penny. So here is an example of just a water use analysis. A large multifamily complex came to us, said, we think our water use is high. They had a lot of apartment units, but also they had some businesses. So we took a look at what they had, and based on our experience, we were able to figure out how much water they should really be using, and we knew they shouldn't be using more than 18,000 gallons a day. This chart, each column is the average gallons per day for that billing period. And of course, they're running up to 29,000 gallons a day, and we're saying, no, you should be below 18,000. So we helped them identify places to look. And in this case, it was just, even though it was a newer apartment complex, it was a mass issue with toilets. By the time they got done, they repaired 45 toilet leaks in this complex. And now their use, it doesn't show on the graph, but now their use is down to about 15,000 gallons a day. So a large savings there. One of the tools I mentioned, the flow recorder or data logger, is this little blue box pictured to the right. And we physically go out to the meter and we connect this data logger, excuse me, flow recorder, and we leave it on for about 7 days. And what it does is it will, every 10 seconds, take a little snapshot of water use. And so we know what's happening at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning when there shouldn't be any water use. We can use it to identify a lot of different water use patterns and equipment. And we don't have a lot of these units, and unfortunately, we just don't have the resources to do residential or single-family homes, but we're using these every week. We're out deploying these or picking these up, and they're a very valuable tool in trying to figure out what's happening with the water use. And this is some of the data that we get from that flow recorder. This happens to be multifamily, and the red spikes are just the maximum amount of water that we saw during that time period. The blue is average, and you can see a little scribbling of green at the bottom, which is more of the minimum amount of water flow for that time period. So a chart like this looks great. This looks normal, and everything's good in this particular one. But as you'll see in the next chart from the data logger, it looks a lot different, right? We're seeing this mass amount of green. And this happened to be a college campus. Colleges have a tremendous amount of water use in just so many different areas, from labs to cooling towers and boilers and residential units, and just about every kind of water use, irrigation, everything that there is actually happens on a college campus. And so it's hard to really just go around and figure out, if there's any problems. So we put the flow recorder on, and we immediately saw that, based on this data, that there was a 15 gallon per minute constant use, 24 hours a day. And so a little more investigation, and we discovered that their gas bill had also gone up. It was a hot water leak. And the water, sometimes when these big pipes or even little pipes, when they leak, they don't come up to the surface. So it took some digging, but we were able to find that, saved them almost 8 million gallons a year, or that's about $170,000 a year for this particular customer. Oh, there we go. And so sometimes it's not a huge customer, or sometimes it's a small little business. Like this business is having more water use than they should have. And so we looked at their water use using the data logger, the flow recorder, in the middle of the night. And this is what we see. We see these spikes, these little green spikes, and they don't look all the same, but they're pretty much the same when you dig into the numbers. And what that is every time you see a spike, that's a toilet refilling. And then between the spikes, the water in the toilet is draining down. And then when you have another spike, it's refilling. And so a lot of times, you know, if it's a business that doesn't have a lot of water uses, different water uses, we can pinpoint a toilet leak, which is what we had here. And toilet leaks are the most common problem we see. And while a typical leak might be 10 gallons a day, we see them in the hundreds. And in fact, when we go out on an on-site visit and we find a toilet leak, the average loss per day is per day is 1,000 gallons a day from a toilet leak. And they can leak as much as 5,000 gallons a day. And if you have a commercial toilet and it's left unattended, you can get into the tens of thousands of gallons a day. So toilets are kind of our nemesis when it comes to unexpected water loss. And this, the flow recorder helps us identify them. So next slide. So this little unit here pictured toward the bottom is a ultrasonic meter. It's similar to the flow recorder, but it doesn't connect to a water meter. So if you look at the picture on the right, this is a bottle washer that washes empty bottles before they're filled with product. And this customer wanted to know how much water was going into this unit, because if it was enough water and costing them enough, it might be cost effective to replace this with a different type of bottle cleaning system that uses ozone. And so we connected this ultrasonic meter and we were able to get the same kind of data and see how much water was flowing and so how much it was costing them. And they actually went ahead and replaced that machine with this ozone unit and saved hundreds of thousands of gallons a year. So it's another tool we have at our disposal.
Right. And
That's it? That's all there is?
That's it.
All right.
Yeah, so this is just our contact information. I'd say the best point of contact for all of us would be to start with customer service. That will be on our main webpage, but you're also welcome to contact any of us individually. Jeff and my contact information is there, and we can share everyone else's as well. And we'll open it up for any questions that may have come up.
I do see a question in the chat that I had plugged in the website for our financial assistance information, and there's a question after that that says if it's the same website for the commercial program services. So I don't know if Jeff, if there is a place on our website that where folks can get more information about that, or
Yes, absolutely. We have our own section on the website, and you can do water efficiency or water conservation, Portland Water Bureau, and you can pull up the page that gives contact information for our programs.
Yeah, we'll try to get it in the chat too. We just switched over like 2 days ago, so we'll put our new webpage in there. Any other questions that came up?
Yeah, I do have a question, Penny. This is Lorelai. Jeff was talking about like a flow recorder and all of that stuff. Is that like a rental unit that Portlanders can like rent and the Portland Water Bureau manages? Is there a fee for that?
I'll let you take that, Jeff.
Yeah, wow, my screen just went crazy. There's no fee for that service. We don't rent them out. We install them ourselves. There's special software you have to download the data and look at it. So, you know, if it's a business and you want to take a look at your water use, you just need to contact us. We'll get that set up. We'll get you scheduled and get that deployed where you need it. But yeah, there's no cost for any of our services, even when we go back to on-site and do our work with businesses. So yeah, so all that stuff's free.
Hey, that's pretty good. Thank you. So is it safe to say that the commercial program services, all of those services are no cost?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow, that is great to know.
Yes, some of the services like we've worked with Alpenrose Dairy, we've worked with Whitmer Brewing, we've done a lot of work with some major companies, and if they were to go out and if you were like even a small business and you were to go out to hire these services, it can run into the thousands of dollars. So we feel like we're really trying to provide a good service for our customers here in Portland.
Thank you, Jeff. I have one more question. Is that okay?
Sure.
Um, so, well, this is Portland Water Bureau. Do you do, well, I don't know if I know the answer to this, but like I live in Aloha, so we have the Tualatin Water Valley services. Do they have the same services as you, or is it just unique to Portland?
Well, Tualatin Valley Water District actually does have an individual over there that um, provides similar services to what we have. And if there's um, something that they can't do, then we can help them out. We don't usually go to outside districts, but every once in a while we will do that. There's only 2 of us that work in the commercial program, so sometimes we get stretched a little thin, but TVWD certainly has an individual over there that we can provide you information how to contact them, but that doesn't, they don't quite have the scope, but certainly they have an individual there that's focused on commercial and residential or multifamily.
Thank you. That's great information.
I do see a question in the chat in regards to lead reduction, and the question is really asking like the difference with the federal government requiring optimized treatment versus what we say on our website, which says improved corrosion control. And just to clarify that, it really means so we're required at this point to test with voluntary homes. Basically, there's about 100 and some homes um, annually, twice a year, really, to make sure that our water is just less corrosive. So it means that of those homes, there's a certain percentage that just need to be under 15 parts per billion. And I'm getting a little technical, but basically, the treatment that we will be installing by 2022, the intent is that it will reduce that level below 15 parts per billion, which is the EPA's basic like action standard. So I'll take a look and just see, I'll look at that language a little bit more. So I think that's a good point, and just kind of see what the difference is as far as like technically speaking, but that is, the intent is to provide drinking water that's basically going to meet the EPA's action standard of being less corrosive, so that that level of lead is reduced.
Well, thank you very much, Matt. So, Penny, anything else that you'd like to say to our viewers?
Just reach out, give us a call if you have any other questions. Know that we are here for you, and thanks for inviting us. Yeah, I'll hand it back.
It is our pleasure, and we know that when we invited you, we will learn a lot. But we actually learned a lot today, and for sure, I'm going to go back and re-review this recording, and we will be asking you more questions, and maybe we can invite you again one more time sometime. Especially reach out to us if you have other new programs. So thank you very much, Portland Water Bureau experts. Now we'd like to welcome Ellen Edmonds. She's our new VP of membership. So take it away, Ellen.
Thank you so much. And I just received a text from our president, Jan Mason. She apologizes that she wasn't able to join us earlier. She's actually feeling under the weather and recuperating from a minor surgery. But she thanks all of you for being here and educating our community. Lorelai is so right. We knew that we would learn a lot, but we never knew that there's a lot of financial assistance that's available to the residents and the small business owners. And what we're going to do after today is we're gonna collect all of those links, and Noel here and Michael, they're just gonna put it on our social media pages, and we're gonna make sure that we push it out via MailChimp to our and all our followers will be able to see all this that are available to them. And we will also put it on our website to make sure that we're all in this. You know, you're keeping us safe. Thank you so very much for all your help and for all that you do. And at this point, before we say goodbye, ladies and gentlemen, I will shamelessly promote our 50% off membership. This event is just one of those that you will always see we sponsor for our small business community. Other, why would you want to be a member, right? So why would you want to pay 25 bucks or 50 bucks for 1 year? Let me just share with you a slide very quickly. These are just some of the PACCO member benefits. You have timely access to grant opportunities throughout Oregon. And just for next week, starting March 8th, we are a recognized partner of Business Oregon for the commercial rent relief program. Okay, watch out for that. The press release has already been posted by Business Oregon and Prosper Portland. Watch out what we can do for you. As PACCO, we will really help you put your applications together. This is going to be a joint a partnership between the landlord and the tenant, and to get paid for outstanding rentals, commercial spaces from March 2020 up to February 28, 2021. So it's going to be a significant help for our community. And another one that's forthcoming, watch out for that, is the Business Oregon Technical Assistance Program Round 2. So these are just some. We are telling you it is so much worth to be a part of the PACCO tribe. And this year, as we celebrate our 25th year, we are on 50% off. 25 bucks for individuals and 50 bucks for small business owners. Well, that's all, Lorelai. Back to you.
Thanks, Alan. So, thank you again, guys, for joining us, and be on the lookout for our other programs. This is our 25th year anniversary, and we're really planning to make it special. So, make sure that you are on our email list. Check out our website, www.paco.org, and be a member of our Facebook group, and like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram and Twitter. And thank you all. And we'll be seeing you again on March 18 for the Women's History Month. We got two nationally recognized speakers, and that is Janet Nepales and also Dina Peru. So we will be plugging that event starting Monday. Well, actually, we already started, but we're looking forward to seeing you all March 18. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks.